Hello, everybody. How are you today? I'm back and feeling better and got over my cold, so that's a good thing. And Mark and I tested just to make sure we didn't have COVID, and nope, we didn't. So, hello. It's going to take me a moment to get back into it. Because I tell you what, you take one Thursday off and you kind of forget where you are, what you're doing. Right now, I'm folding up the numbers because we're going to have our UFO drawing today. So I'm going to fold them up so I can put them in a cup and not know which number I'm drawing. And just hoping that I wrote down 12 UFOs I want to finish this year, and I'm hoping I can find them all. So I'm hoping for the first one I pick, it's going to be easy for me to remember where it is. That's pretty bad when your UFOs are that old that you don't know where it is. So, but I'm folding up these numbers, and today is Sunday, January 7th. And it is so good to see all of you. I have been a very busy girl. As you know, I've got my Myrtle Beach quilt party coming up. So I have been cutting fabrics out for my class that I'm taking. And she made a point of saying, do not come to class without having your quilt cut up because you would be so hopelessly lost you wouldn't know where you were. And I have to tell you, I admire Miss Lisa for getting hers cut out in what? November? I am she's something. When I grow up, I'd like to be more like Miss Lisa. So anyway, but I've been making lists for my trip. I got to admit, I'm very excited. I called the hotel because Mark said, you know what? Take a couple extra days before the retreat that you can have just for you to get away after a busy holiday, to get away and relax. And oh, I tell you what, I am so excited thinking about that. I really am. So, the camera is not showing up bright enough. Let me check one thing really quickly. Okay. I'm assuming that your picture is a little brighter than mine. I might have turned down the brightness at some point. Okay, I've got so many papers down here to show you. And then let me see. I need to pull off some of these old LiveStream papers because I hardly have room to pin up a new one. So the focus is a bit blurry. I will keep an eye on that. Thank you for telling me, Miss Mary. So you won't believe this. I'm looking for my agenda that I typed out. Okay, gotta have those two right there. Now I know my agenda's got to be here. Let me look. If you ever see me totally caught up, you'll know that there's something curious going on because that's just not Deb. And let me find, because if not, I'm going to have to wing it. But let me see if I can find it. So I've got so many fun things to show you. All right, I don't see my agenda. Let me see. I think I'm going to have to wing it without it. I thought I printed it out. Okay. I thought I printed out my agenda, but I'm not finding it. Silly me. Let me double check that I've got everything out of the basket. Yep. Let me print out Well, I'll just wing it. I don't want
No,
you to have to come back.
print it out. Print it out.
Okay.
Or see if it'll print out. Maybe.
Yeah, really. What happened to my agenda? All right. Agenda here it is. I really do remember printing it out, but you know how that kind of stuff. I printed out probably 4 or 5 pages at the same time. All right, cross fingers that we get it. All right. Ah, now let me take a deep breath and see what lovely friends are here. So, oh, okay. Let me see. Sonia, first person here. Way to go, Miss Sonia. Lisa's here. Hi, Lisa. Laura. Oh, this is so good. Debbie's here. Robin LaBelle. How are you, sweetheart? And Debbie, Debbie, I hope you're able to leave messages. I'm worried. So, because hopefully, nobody canceled her out. And Joni is here. Hi, Joni. Oh, there's Debbie's message. Good job, hon. Okay. This is so nice. Sonia doesn't have any UFOs. Now, Sonia, that's just un-American. Oh gosh, that is so cute, Sonia. You're such a sweetie. Jody's here. Yay, Miss Jody. And Mary is here. Oh, it's so good to see all of you. Oh, thank you, Mr. Mark. Oh, is that? You know what? I did have it. That's why I threw it away. I forgot. I had it and I thought it was from a month ago. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, sweetie.
No problem.
All right. So this is today's. I'll put it up so I know what it is. And okay, so the first thing we were going to talk about is Art Quilt Thursdays. And I do apologize that I was feeling so sniffly. Like I said, sniffly enough to take a COVID test, but we were negative for COVID. So it was just a cold from doing so much at the new year. You guys know what that's like. We stay, but during the holidays, we stay so busy. So, oh, Debbie canceled herself by accident. Jody, do you remember when I stopped counting somewhere over 100 UFOs? So I'll probably be doing this UFO challenge for years to come. Laura can't bear to make a UFO list. Aw. Oh, this is great. Robin's making a postage stamp quilt to use up leftovers. That is fantastic. My Mark is very much appreciated. He spoils me rotten, doesn't he? So, okay. Oh, yes, Miss Mary, I have well over 100. I think it was like 160. I'm known to have a little bit of an attention span problem. I love starting quilts. I don't seem to be very good at finishing them. So I one time had a counselor say, well, maybe the quilt has taught you all you needed to learn from it. I said, I appreciate that, but I think it's just because I don't stay focused. Here is hanging on the wall is my mystery quilt. And as you can see, it's not fully finished. Now, I think I wrote, hi, Bonnie. I wrote to Miss Mary Mayhem.com, and told her she outdid herself this year. So it's a very wonderful quilt. It looks very complicated. It has the inner pattern and an outer pattern, but it was honestly very straightforward to make. I am finding, and Marcia's here. Yay, the party can begin. Marcia's here. And I am not fond of scrappy quilts. Are any of you guys fond of scrappy quilts? This is it's busy for Deb. So hi Betty. I was just kind of wondering what y'all thought of it. Yeah, I like controlled scrappy too. You're right. So is anyone very fond of this one? Jody loves scrappy. Does this one look does does this one does anybody go, oh well I love, let me bring some more color on it. Does anyone say, well, I love that? It's kind of pinks and rust and um some greens and browns and golds. You think it's very pretty? Well, let me ask Jody. Jody, would you be interested in, if I pass this along to you, would you like to have it and finish it? Is it anything you could do something about? And be honest with me, because I'm trying to find a good home for it. And to someone who might appreciate it, finish it. It's not finished. It's going to be lap size, or I guess that's what they call it, throw size. And I'd like, since I've been working on it, but it's not speaking to me, and I would like to pass it on to someone who would love it. So, who would love this and give it a good home? And I was going to ask Miss Jody, but it just depends on what you want. Ah, okay. So, who would like to have this quilt? I will mail it to you along with the other components that are pre made but not yet put together. You would have to add batting and backing, but I will give you everything for the top. Who would like to have this quilt? Miss Mary will take it. Okay, who else? Lisa would like it, or Miss Mary would like it. Okay, Miss Mary said it first. And if you're sure, this is the thing. You might wonder. I mean, I think it's a sweet quilt, but I have so many things I need to finish. And what I have decided, I actually decided this a year or two ago, that if a project's not speaking to me, I'm going to try to give it a new home. And because someone else, what doesn't speak to you might make someone else very happy. So that's my new philosophy. And that's my new philosophy. And and that's what I'm going to do from time to time if I'm working on something that, you know. So I am so busy, and I don't want this to end up put in a plastic bag where it'll languish for years. So, Miss Mary, if you're sure you want it, then Miss Lisa, I'll keep you in mind for another one. Okay, sweetheart. And so I will send this out to Miss Mary where she can love it. Now, if I ever pass a quilt to you and you don't end up wanting to use it, feel free to pass it along. I just don't want it to sit somewhere and be unloved. I feel like every quilt needs someone to love it, and you just have to find that person. So, this is great. I will pass this on. Thank you, Miss Mary, for taking this pressure off my shoulders. And Miss Mary, I'm pretty sure I already have your address, but if I need to check it, I'll email you. So thank you. Now I'm happy. I can be relaxed. And this is one thing I can pass on to be loved. All righty. And Miss Mary already has this pattern, but I can send along this pattern. Although if you already have it, we were doing the mystery together on Jitsi on New Year's Day, but my sound wasn't working. So I had to write notes to everyone about stuff. But anyway, it was a lot of fun to do. And in a lot of ways, it does kind of remind you a little bit of a kaleidoscope. And I'll show you the designers. Here is the designer's pattern. And so the one I already cut out, I've made all the blocks. Everything's been made, just not assembled. So I will make sure I send that out to Miss Mary. And I'll show you the crib size one she made today, a little later today too. So good. Now I feel very rested. That's very nice. Okay. So I was going, oh, one thing I was going to tell you. I always like teaching moments. And I had a teaching moment today when I was working on this quilt. One of the problems about a quilt like this is you want to get the little sashings lined up appropriately. And just as I said that, I saw this one's barely off right here. I wanted to show you how do you keep your inner sashings lined up when you sew them together. Like see coming down here, I think one reason I didn't notice that is because the quilt I had it turned this way, and so I made sure to line these up. But anytime you go across a bigger sashing, how do you line those individual blocks up? Well, I will show you. Let me bring it a little closer. All right. When you are working with something like this and you want it to line up, okay? You use the sashing. All right? I'm going to show you the sashing. When I sewed the sashing on right here, you see this is the inner. It's like we'll call it a minor sashing versus the major sashing. When you're sewing this, take this edge of the sashing, bring it up. Make sure you're nice and straight. Mark in the seam allowance where this sashing is. Mark where it, with a sewing line. Make sure it's the sewing line. Mark the sewing line from this sashing. That way, if it's in the seam allowance, when you sew the next block on, you'll have registration marks. So see, I'm hoping, let me get you in a little closer, but hopefully you can see these registration marks I did with a light pencil. And when you line this block up, just make sure these sewing lines right there and right here, make sure they line up with your pencil marks. So that's how you can make sure, yes, and pen. But what I have found is if you have that sashing in between, sometimes you think you're lined up, but you're not quite lined up. So anyway, hopefully that gives you an idea of how do I make sure that all of these lines line up, because it does matter when you stand back and look at it. It does matter. So do you understand that hint, everybody? And yeah, Jody is great for taking scraps, and she does amazing things with her scrap. Okay, so I just wanted to. I have got so much stuff on this floor and everywhere. The house is well, upstairs is not bad, but down here it is chaos. So, all right. So I just wanted to show you our Art Quilt Thursday is coming up. We're going to work on the house quilt. And I had that cold and my head was stuffy. And have you ever had the kind of colds where your head feels too heavy for your shoulders? It's like if I could just lay down, I'd feel better. But anyway, I'm much better. I wanted to make sure to get better because I only have a week before I leave to go to the Myrtle Beach quilt party. And I need to be well for that. So thank you. I'm sorry to have to cancel. This time I canceled the night before because I said, give these people more notice. One of the reasons I always cancel so late is because I keep thinking, I can do it, I can do it. And then finally I give up. But this time I thought, I don't think I'm going to be a better enough in time for that. So, okay. All right. So I got that. I talked about Art Quilt Thursday. Well, I'll be here Thursday night, 7:30. And Art Quilt Thursday. And then I talked to you about the mist. Oh, and let me write down. I doubt I'll forget that I gave it to Mary, but just in case, I'm going to write this down. And I'll get that ready to go out. So now, our UFO challenge. Okay. I wrote down my UFO challenge. This was the easiest thing I've ever written. It was so easy to figure out how many quilts, what quilts to put down for 12. I could have done this 10 times easily. So I've got my list. I hope you have your list. And what we're going to do is because some quilts are going to be easier to finish than others. And so I wanted to, by drawing the names. Oh, and let me give you a name. There is a wonderful quilt shop that has a YouTube channel, and it's called The Quilted Forest. Now, if you go on to YouTube and type in The Quilted Forest, it'll bring up their channel. Wonderful, lovely ladies. This is where our Joni is the one who found this idea for us. And if you go to her channel, you can find their information on it. And so that's really wonderful. So that's where she got the idea. And I thought, and it shows their 12-month process. Wanted to pass along the Quilted Forest. They are a lovely quilt shop in Iowa. So anyway, all right, what I'm doing right now is I'm mixing up all of these little slips of paper that have numbers on them. And so what I'm going to do is draw a number. I forgot to do something. I forgot to draw a number under the 6 or the 9. So it's either 6 or 9. Give me just aha. Okay. I think this one is number 9. So number 9 for me, it's the opposite. What's on the back of this? It is the bedspread that I was trying to make. So this month, I'm going to work on finishing this quilt. This is a king size quilt, so I'm going to be busy, but I think I have all the components made, so I'm just going to have to work at it. All right, so number 9, and I'm going to take the leftover number 6 and draw a line after it so I will know. And the only way I could really tell is that little loopy kind of went farther past the body of it. So I said, well, if that's the case, then it must be number 9. So number 9 is today's pick. So on your UFO list, please write, I'm going to staple this number on here. Don't want to forget which one I'm going to be working on. All right, so the first one, this is for January. And we're kind of a week late, so we'll probably start February's not after the first also. That's only fair. All right. So number 9 is our first month's entry. Number 9. All right. So now I know I need to get this out so that every day what I'm going to commit to for right now, I'm so busy right now, but you know what? I can commit to 1 hour a day. I'm going to start out until I get back from Myrtle Beach. I can give it 1 hour a day. And then when I get home from Myrtle Beach, I'll be very busy trying to catch up with it. Okay, so even if you're busy, if you will pull out your UFO for 1 hour a day and just give it 1 hour a day and see how far you can get with it. All right. So now we've talked about Art Quilt Thursdays. We talked about the UFO challenge. You know, sometimes there's nothing beats a good old pencil. That pen was giving me a fit. Okay, so the mystery quilt, we gave it to Miss Mary. All right. Now, I'm going to talk about, let me do something. I want to show you how differently yarn can look in a photo on a website and in person. So hold on 1 second. Okay. I'm going to show you what I ordered from Joanne because I did a pickup order. Okay, here we go. Let me get in. I want to show you this because the difference is astonishing. It's like when I went to pick this up, I thought they made a mistake. So, where is it? Hold on. Well, they don't have it here. Where is my order? Okay, well then let me look on my own. This is called Loops and Threads. Oh, because I didn't get it from Joann's. I got it from Michael's. I'm not tired, not at all. Okay. It really helps if you go to the right store. Does that mean I shop too much if I get my stores confused? All right, here we go. I want you to see. What I did is I loved making my daughter's cowl. I loved her yarn so much. I wanted the same yarn. Here, okay. Are you ready? Here is the yarn. Make sure this stays in. Here is a picture of the yarn I ordered. Do you see that yarn? And I liked it because it had blue in it, but it wasn't too bright. Okay. My daughter's yarn that I wanted to get was this one right here. But unfortunately, they were sold out of it. So I picked, whoops, now which one is it? I've forgotten now. Nope. Well, I forgot. No. Anyway, I could do this all day and drive you nuts. But it was a mild, calm looking yarn. Let me come back and show you what I picked up that day. All right, let me go back to live streaming. Okay, so that looked nice, you know. Well, here is what I ended up getting from the store. When I picked it up and opened the bag, I thought, no, they've made a mistake. This is not the yarn. But instead of running back in and saying, hey, wait, this is not the right yarn, I thought, let me go home and check my order. So I came home and checked my order, and guess what? It's the right yarn. So where they choose to make the photograph, like if just this part right there, is a whole lot different than what you might end up getting, which has now taught me it's best to pick out your yarn in the store. So, but it's growing on me. I could have taken it back, but it's kind of growing on me. And this kind of yarn is just so pretty. It has a kind of metallic glint to it. So I'm making, now I know I had started another cowl before this, but I thought, oh, the colors are too bright. I want to get yarn more like Becky's. Well, anyway, but it is kind of pretty. I love the colors. But what's a shame in a way, I love, love these jewel tones. And the picture in the ad don't do it justice. So yeah, isn't it very odd compared to the picture I saw? It was like, whoa. So anyway, but I just thought I would warn you, make sure you go and see the yarn. The others that I picked out, Becky's that I picked out and the one for Katie, they came in as shown. But this one didn't show at all. Okay. So now, a little later in this show, after show and tell, I'm going to do a little tutorial on how to square a quilt. So now you've sewn your wall hanging or quilt. How do you square it up? Because before you put the binding on and finish it, it'd be nice to square up. You can always stretch it and block it after you've made it. But at each stage, if you're careful and you keep it square, it makes it a whole lot easier, because wetting it and pinning it, finding a space, clean, nice space to pin it and let it dry, that's a lot of work. I prefer not to do that. But I had a question from, was it Nicole? A question from someone, what do I do now that I've made this landscape art quilt? So I'm going to show you how to square it up and trim it. And then I'm also going to show, how do I like to finish an art quilt? What do you do? And there are several different methods. So I will cover that after we do our show and tell today. Now, oh, and I forgot to bring down my snow globe. I made 12 snow globes and they were so much fun. I'll have to show you that Thursday and probably not next week. I'll show the snow globes to you Thursday night because they really are cute. Although I did have a couple instances where either a cloth ribbon I put in the water or a plastic little tree gave their color out into the water. So you never know. It's a homemade, handmade little snow globe, and you just don't know what the water and the glycerin are going to do to it. And did you know that glycerin is a vegetable product? You can get an artificially made glycerin, but it's a vegetable product. Could be made out of animal fat too. But the kind of glycerin I used, not knowing, knowing I was giving it to children or whatever, it was a vegetable based and it can't harm you at all. So I was real happy with that. All right, now What I'm going to do now is talk to you about my Alaska quilt. Now, I don't know about Miss Lisa. Oops, it's hard to pick colors online. Yes, exactly. It's very hard to pick colors online. Thank you, Debbie, for typing that. Oh, and up here she did too. If you want to make it the 6. So, um, that was sweet of you. I'd like to get this one done. I do think I'd like to get this one done. So, the one I've got on my bed, I always tell you my secrets. The quilt I have on my bed was bought cheaply somewhere 30 years ago and made in China, I guess. It was supposed to be a double wedding ring, great big stitches, nothing special, but it was cotton, even though a bit thin. I have used that to where now it shreds. And that's what I cover up with at night. And Mark and I have separate sheets and separate blankets because he is always cold at night and I'm warm. So having our own sheet and blanket, we can adjust to our own size. So I made him the um hand dyed, what is it called? What's the hand dyed blue that I did? Indigo. It was the hand dyed indigo quilt. And he thinks that's rather heavy. Well, real quilts are heavy. They are, but I'm excited to get this finished. And although he asked for it to be warm, so I did put two layers of batting in it, but he said he wanted it warm. But anyway, this one's going to be my baby. And so just one layer of batting. Thank you. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use cotton batting too. And because since this is a busy quilt, I don't need to worry about having puffy areas to quilt. So Debbie said, what did your son say about the portrait quilt? They loved it. And I've got to confess, I hadn't finished it. I don't know about y'all, but on something like that takes that artistic part of my brain, that part of my brain shut down when I was so busy getting ready for Christmas. And it was like I hit a wall. And they love the quilt and they think it's amazing, but I'm going to finish it for them. So I want to make sure I've given myself a mental timeline until the 1st of April when it's my daughter-in-law's birthdays, early April. Oh, and speaking of birthdays, happy birthday, Marsha, last week. But I'm going to finish it for them and I'm going to give myself a deadline. But I want to do a lot of very subtle, light thread painting. And that was just something I couldn't rush. And I got to be honest, Jody is amazing because that project took it out of me. That was extremely hard for me to do. So I will get back to it and I'll make sure. I'll make sure. But anyway, oh, Marsha Han is here. Hi, sweetie. Aw, you watch more later. Oh, having a winter storm. Well, take good care of yourself, sweetheart. It was so nice to see you. Pat is here. Yes, exactly, Pat. One of you likes warmer or cooler. I'll look over at Mark, and sometimes he has like 2 blankets and a sheet on him. And there are times, you know what I'm better than I was when I went through the change. When I went through the change, I couldn't cover up with anything at all. Well, at least I'm better now. But sometimes I have to purposely let my body really cool off before I can get comfortable and go to sleep. Isn't that crazy? So it's just my own little personal thing. Yep, you have to do that. And then that way, we also have Gromit who sleeps on our bed with us. And he's under the my desk. Every Sunday when I'm doing, or Thursday when I'm doing the show, either day, he loves to lay in his bed under this desk. And he's so happy when I come down here. And I think it's because he hears my voice with y'all. And he knows that I love doing this and it makes him happy too. But anyway, but we have him sleeping on the bed. He's 30 pounds. So when he lays on a blanket, he's laying on the blanket. And so having separate blankets and sheets also keeps us from stressing over, oh, Grammy's on the sheet, I can't turn over, whatever. So anyway, the other two go in their crates at night, and he's our alpha dog, so he gets the space and he loves it, loves it. All right, so that's why I'm glad I'm going to be finishing that. Now to move on to my Alaska quilt. I told y'all in the beginning, when I saw the Alaska quilt, both Lisa and I were like, we have to make that. We have to make that. Now, Miss Lisa is very talented quilter, but she's also very well grounded, where I tend to be a little spacey. I'll admit it. She's already got her stuff cut out. She already has everything lined up. Not Deb. I went ahead and ordered fabric, and I ordered beautiful fabric. It's Carrie Quinn, but what is the word in front of that? Genevieve. Genevieve fabric, Carrie Quinn. And I opened my fat quarter bundle the other day, and I had also gotten some yardage so I'd have enough. I looked at that fabric and it is beautiful. Jody, you would have loved it. The shirtings were to die for. I just put one of them against my cheek because it was so pretty, and the hand of it so smooth and slight sheen. It was gorgeous. Gorgeous. Oh, and I just thought of something else to tell you, and I'll write it down so I won't forget to tell you. It was so gorgeous. And I looked at it and I thought, this is not the right quilt for this fabric. So I was looking around, looking and looking and looking, thinking, this has been the hardest thing I've had to do because I want this quilt to be special. Whoops, found a page in the wrong place. Let me put that with the others. Now, let me see. What here it is. So when I was going back and looking once again, because I love those fabrics, I better love them. I spent $130 on the fabric for this Alaska quilt, but it just didn't speak to me. It just didn't say, this is your quilt. And it says the fabric makes me think of French General. It's really pretty. But then I saw this coloration and I thought, oh, I love that. Now, this is not that this photograph doesn't do it justice. It's very vibrant. It reminds me of the Jenny Beyer type look. And then I have another. Oh, then I saw this one. Now, I had looked before, but somehow I missed it. This one, I like how the center is so bright. One of the things that bothered me a little bit about this center, that the center is supposed to be the be all end all, and I wished it would be brighter. So when I saw that brighter version, I went, aha. So what I did is these are my inspiration. I thought, well, I bought those fabrics and I don't want to waste them, and and they would have given more of a look of this, but not even as good. There wasn't as much contrast in the lights that I chose. So I worried about that. So what I did is I sat down with the pattern and I spent 3 days on this. What I did is I looked in my scrap pack, all my scrap baskets, and I pulled out these colors. Okay. And because I wanted it to have blues, but also some turquoise, because I wanted it to have that mysterious, um, deep pond in the evening look. And I really wanted this. So then the next thing I did was take all of my block pages and I took and cut up the fabric and put them in the pictures of the blocks. And that helped me work out if I was going to like it or not. So let me show you some more. Here are 2 of the blocks I did. And what I did, it took me a while because I looked at this, I looked at the original Alaska, and I wanted to stay true. If you look at this Alaska, it makes secondary circles. Do you see the secondary circles? These secondary circles, and this wonderful rosette center, and then the secondary circles, but there's stars. There's just a lot going on. The blue stars. So between looking at those 2 and then matching colors, and I often had to change them. So here are 2 more of the blocks. And what you find, you might wonder, well, why is this here? Because it correlates to another block color that keeps these shapes, the stars and the circles, to keep them moving. So it took me 3 days to work on this. There's one. Here's one. Trying to work on how do I work all these colors in. So that's the first thing I did. And then here's my final center. I wanted it nice and bright. And we'll see how it goes. So here are all the blocks that I worked out for the quilt. So that took a while. Then I took little stickers and tried to put the new colors in the instructions. So instead of print 1, it was black 1, dark blue 2, light blue, on and on. And I used, now what did I do with my color sheet? I had the color and a number. And so I worked between, now the quilt calls for 6 colors. Of course, I have 10, but there's reasons. And like my stars, I have the little points, different colors. So instead of having an all over blue star, it's lighter and darker just to give that little extra sparkle, I'm hoping. So I don't know why I do this, but I feel compelled to do it. I hardly ever do something the way it's handed to me. I don't know. I feel like I have to put my signature on it. I don't know. And we'll see how it turns out. But then I looked at these sheets and I said, I've got to go cut things with this. And you'll see how I numbered the sections with my new color numbers so I could keep track of what color went where. But then when I looked at this, it just seemed messy to me. And my brain doesn't work well with a lot of confusion. So then I opened up a Word document and I took and rewrote block 1. I needed the black color. I needed 16 D triangles, 16 C wedges. Out of dark blue, I needed 12 C wedges. Out of light teal, I needed 4 C wedges. So that's what I did. I did all 13 blocks in Word, put all my colors. Then I realized, what you do is hi, Joso. Hi, sweetie. Oh, good. Good for you, Quilting. We're glad to see you. And I forgot who Joso, what name she used to come on here with. I have forgotten because you and Marcia have talked before. So, and both know you're from Omaha. And so then I went, oh, how will I know what size to cut the strips? Because I went on YouTube and watched the Alaska YouTube videos that Edita Sitar put out, the designer put out. And you were Vicky. Yes, yes. Hi, Miss Vicky. So, Marcia, you and Vicky have said hi before. It's so good to see you again. So, isn't it nice to see a lot of names here? I love it. So, what I did then is went, oh, okay. For piece A, make the strips 2 1/4. Piece B, 2 7/8. Template C, 5 1/8. Template D, 3 1/2. So I did that little key along there because since I did this scrappy, some of my fabrics, I hope I have enough, but I'm planning on it. I am not immune to sewing my crumbs together to make enough fabric. But anyway, so now I did all of this. So yesterday was my very first day of actually cutting it out. And whoo, is it a job? That's right, Vicky Joe. So now she's Joe. So, all right. So I'm going to show you what fabrics I've already chosen and what ones are still to come. I ended up taking quart size bags, and I love when they have a writing surface on them. So I wrote in what block it was. So I have 13 baggies of each block. And this is the way Edita, she has it go block by block, and you do 4 of each block except for number 13. So it's like, okay. So I have 1 through 13 blocks. Then there were some that I had a scrap of fabric left over. So that is my extras bag. And that can come in handy because if I miscounted along the way, then I'll have it. I'm also going to take the fabrics I used to cut this out of in case I made a boo-boo. You've got to go prepared. I'm going to be 5 hours away. I can't run home and get the piece of fabric. So here is block 1, and I have cut half of my fabric. All right. I'm using the templates. They work wonderfully. Her strip method works wonderfully. So here are my C wedges. Ooh, pardon me. This is from my dark blue. My darkest color is black. Here is my dark blue. And there's some more black pieces, but I'm trying to be very careful and cut these very carefully. Sometimes I can be sloppy, and I want this to work. Now, let me show you a couple of my other colors I'm using. This is block 8, and look at this fabulous batik. So I think that looks good. And put masking tape on your baggies also when recycling from one. Exactly. In fact, sometimes I'll not even use that label, just put the tape on it. But all I have to do is come home, put a brilliant, Bonnie, put masking tape over it, right again. So this way, I just want to make it as neat and tidy as possible because I've got to be able to function in class with all of this going on. Then I'm using a medium blue. So the last one I showed you was this wonderful batik. Here is my medium blue. Okay. And so I've got a dark blue, a medium blue, a dark batik, I call that. So those are 4 of my main colors. Black being very well used. Luckily, I always try to keep a bolt of white and a bolt of black. This is going to be one for my center star. Over half of these fabrics are chinny bias. So that makes it extra good. And I may be using this one for my center star also. I love that. This is going to be used in my center star. And this is going to be used in my center star. And these are going to play off of each other. And then these are going to be some of the smaller pieces. This is my lightest color, and it is a batik. I wanted to make sure I had a lot of value between the black and the lightest. And I'm not sure if I don't think I am using this one, but I am using this one. This one is because it's a bright teal. It's nice and bright. And I think there was one more. I must not have brought it down because I had a lighter version of that. But I don't think I'm using this darker one. It's lighter. So anyway, I just grabbed the big pile before I came down here. But that's what I'm doing for my Alaska quilt. And when I'm cutting it, okay, I like giving you hints whenever I can. And and I wrote a note to myself, and now I've covered it up. Oh, I know what it was. It's about polyester. I'm going to, okay, polyester. Need a pen that works. I have one of these circular carousels with tons of pins. Polyester. Okay. But I was going to give you a few hints. I have noticed that since there's 4 of each separate block design, remember that 4 is an important number, and that will come up time and time again. Well, when I cut up fabric, 4 is the most that I'm comfortable with my favorite cutters. I use the Martelli cutters because I have carpal tunnel that I've had fixed, but there's still weakness there. So these Martellis work really good. It's blue handled because I'm left-handed. If it's black handled, it's right-handed. But anyway, so this is the one I use. I don't have the giant blade. So the most I'm comfortable cutting at a time is 4 layers. Well, that works out perfectly because everything we needed to cut for this quilt was in multiples of 4. So what I did, some of these bags have like 32 of one particular fabric or one particular shape. So as I was cutting them, now this saves a lot of time. So I'd like to give you this clue. So as I'm cutting them, 4 layers at a time, I could try to cut more, but it'll make the edges so rough and I'll get incomplete cuts and I'll have to go back and run over it again. It's just not worth it. So as I would cut 4, I would lay them down. As I would cut 4 more, I would lay it this way. As I cut 4 more, I would then come back and lay it that way. 4 more. I would come and lay it this way, and so on and so on. Now, I'm going to show you why that was such a help to me. I'm going to go ahead and do this out. Okay. So now, as I cut every group of 4, I laid it crisscross. The reason I do this, yeah, okay, Mary, I'll answer that value. Good job. Okay, the reason I do this is because then I needed to count. Let me see. I needed to have 24 of these for this block number 2. Block number 2, I needed 24 of these D shapes. I think, no, it was just B. These are the half diamonds. So now, how do I keep up and how do I easily count? I can't stand counting a thick pack where they're all facing the same direction. That's so hard to do. So now what I do is I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 4 is 24. I know that's the right amount. And then I pop them in. So little things like that of stacking them so they're easy to count, easy to know. And what I did is I would go around. Let me see if I can find my, I have a plain sheet of paper here. If I brought it down, I always keep a scrap piece of paper, like right here. Here, oh, and that's what I wrote polyester on. I keep a scrap piece of paper. I've got my pencil. When I'm going to cut the dark batik, I write down my templates, A, B, C, D. Then I go through the pattern and count how many A's do I need to cut out of batik? How many B's, C's, D's? I write them down. I add up the totals. That way, I try to group everything in like things. It saves so much time. If I were to go down and cut block 1 here, then block 2, I'd constantly be shuffling back the very same fabrics. Why not do all of the dark batiks at once? All of the blacks at once. So all I have to do is find a way to keep them in order, add up how many I need. Then as I cut them, I stack them in that, cattywampus way. I can count them out. Once I get all of these cut, then I go back and look, block 1. Do I need any of these? I can easily count the number, put them in the bag, and go all the way through. So it's just keeping everything organized. And so my next fabric that I'll be cutting out, so I got to talk to you about polyester, but the next fabric that I'm going to be cutting out is going to be light teal. That's my next. I've done, and as I cut them out, I put a check by them. Actually, I put the check when I put them in the bag. Okay, so I have some strict rules. Oh, we've got picture from Charlene. We got pictures of her Christmas. So light teal is going to be my next color. And so I'm probably actually more than halfway, but I worked yesterday for at least 6 or 7 hours just on this. This is very time consuming. But anyway, but I've got, and some of the colors, I only need a few things. Like block number 13, it's almost all slightly different colors. So, pardon me. I don't have that much left to go. Another 6 hours, I should be done. So, anyway, that's what I wanted to show you. I meant to bring a match down here because I was going to show you. Marsha, the quilt that I'm giving you, which is the mystery quilt, this pink, it was the right pink, but this pink has part polyester in it. It's a poly cotton. I probably I've had it 30 years, but it was the color that I wanted. I wanted something kind of muted down. And the reason I bring up polyester, it's one of the quickest ways for me to know if a fabric is all cotton or has poly in it is to iron it. Have you noticed that when you iron polyester, there's an odor that comes from polyester? Polyester, they're artificial products and they tend to melt at high temperatures, but they also give off a smell. It's very distinctive. Cotton, when you're ironing it, doesn't have the same smell. So now, and oh, neat. Oh, and then I got to remember that Mary has a question. So the size of the quilt, the Alaska quilt, I believe is 71 by 71. Let me come back here and find that main page again. I'm very excited about doing it, and I'll let you know. Um, 71 and a half by 71 and a half is the Alaska quilt. And who knows what I do with borders, but I think it's going to be pretty dramatic. So it's just over, well, it's just under 6 feet by 6 feet. That's a good size quilt. Now, and I can't wait. I want to have plenty of spots to do the quilting, although black is not going to show it as much as I'd like. And because I have black in it, I'm going to have to use at least 2 different colors to quilt it, because I don't like to put black on anything other than black. I don't like to use black quilting thread on other colors. It just hasn't worked for me. But anyway, and I just wanted to point out that I used the actual templates that were put out by Laundry Basket Quilts. If you have the Alaska ruler, you can use it, but they said the easiest, most straightforward way, use the templates. If you get a pattern, they do have a page with paper templates, but I wouldn't use that, because then you would have to draw around the paper, then cut them out with scissors or do a ruler and a cutter. With these, they're thick enough that you can use your rotary cutter around them. So when you get your strip out and you lay your template, then you turn it upside down, because most of these have a triangular type look to them. And so you just use your cutter. That way you don't have to mark them and then cut them out. It saves a step. Every step you can save doing the Alaska quilt is a good thing. When you watch Edita Sitar make them, she does the rainbow one and the traditional one. She uses pre-cut, laser cut kits. That's wonderful. But I know me, I'm too cheap, but wow, to have all the pieces cut. And when it's cut by laser, it kind of seals, because it's laser is a light amplified something, something, something. It's where they concentrate light to the point it can cut. And so she uses laser pre-cut pieces. But anyway, um, so let me think. Where was I going with it? But the templates work really good, so I highly recommend them. And after I finish making this quilt, I may be selling mine for a good price. So keep that in mind. And because I have a feeling I won't make Alaska again. I usually hate to do the same thing twice. We'll see, because I did Binding Tool Star 3 times, and there's probably another one in my future to this day. That was my all-time favorite quilt, Binding Tool Star. All right, so I know what I was talking about. So I was talking about polyesters. How you can tell, an easy way to tell fabric content is make sure you've got a metal pan or trash can right there with you. I meant to bring down the lighter and I forgot. But you can take polyester fabric, and if you put a lighter to it, polyester fabrics tend to get crusty, plasticky kind of feeling edges where they're burnt. Cotton, you just get ash. Okay. Cotton's natural. It just leaves ash behind. Polyester's man-made, so it leaves a melted, crusty, plasticky feeling stuff. But you don't have to go that far to tell. Just iron it. And if it has a smell, you know it's polyester. So, and be careful. Then polyester, I was able to iron all these on my cotton setting. Has enough cotton in it, you're safe. But if it's totally polyester, knock that down a couple degrees. So that is, and you can use poly cottons in quilts. When I first started quilting in the late 80s, that's all we really had. 100% cottons were still new to the market, and you really had to go looking for them. So that's why I ended up with this pink. I wanted that color pink, and it was only in a poly cotton. You can use them, just be aware. Just be aware that it's a little bit different. It's a little bit thinner. And make sure I wouldn't use 100% polyester unless all of the quilts 100% polyester. But a poly cotton blend you can use. Just remember it's there. It is a little different. All right, now Mary asks, so that's my polyester reference. What oh, a lot of value. I think what I was talking about of value is color, the intensity of the color. And so I wanted different value ranges. And let me get the picture back. Value is either the tint or the shade of a color. Tint is if you add black, shade is if you add white. So in other words, lighter or darker. So, and see here in the pattern are the paper templates. But what you could do, if you had thin wood, you could cut them out of thin wood. If you had a heavy template fabric, but be careful. I'm trying to come back to my blue one. Whoops. Who's this? Here, I found one of them. This, okay. I think this one might show it better. You can see that almost all of these are what I would call, pardon me, let me fold it so I don't make you ill. Almost all of these I would call turquoises, except for the black and the dark gray. I would call these turquoises. But you see there is several different shades. There's dark, medium, light. And those are values. So that's what that means. Anyway, and I wanted it to have a little bit like like I told you, I was kind of going for that a lake at dusk, almost dark. So I wanted those blacks and the dark teals and the dark blues. And I'm hoping that will work. If not, then I'm going to show you Miss Lisa's, because Miss Lisa doesn't go too far off the edge. So I love that about her. And she has an eye for color mixing. Really beautiful. Michelle is here. Hi, sweetheart. Michelle. Oh, clear plastic bag with zipper you ordered. Oh, isn't that wonderful? I love that. Ah, yeah, the greatest value. In some places on that quilt, I wanted, okay. One thing that Jenny Beyer taught me is that the lightest light and the darkest dark create energy. My word, energy. But they really play off each other to bring out the best in each other. So sometimes if I want something to be dramatic, I'll put a much lighter shade and a darker shade together to have it get your attention, because that's what they do. So that's very important. So contrast, yes. Thank you. That's the word. Certain areas I want them to pop. Exactly. I want it to get your attention. And one of the things that's really the Alaska, if you want to say it, is a I just had the word. It's a quilt with one center. And I had the word and then I felt it slip away. What is a quilt that has a center motif? Oh gosh, this medallion. Thank you, Lisa. The Alaska quilt is technically a medallion quilt. It has a center feature. Okay. And what you would like, and the reason she has the light going around the edge of that medallion is it pulls your eye there. Then once she gets your eye there, the light and the points will lead you out, will lead your eye out to look at all of the rest of the quilt. And this is usually how a very striking quilt is designed. It pulls you here, and then see how they're arrows. Look at them. They're arrows that pull your eyes out into the rest of the quilt. A successful quilt has you looking at the whole thing. If you only look at one feature, you really want everyone to look at everything. I think that's one of the reasons I love Lone Stars, because they have a center and then it radiates out to the bigger world. They're very dramatic, very, very dramatic. So it is so good to see everyone, and we're loving Jolene Parrish. You're from North Carolina. So am I, Jolene. I'm from I live in Winston-Salem. I've been here 20 years. I'm originally from Virginia Beach to be specific. So, Jolene, it's so nice to see you. Lisa, who's also here talking, and I will be at Myrtle Beach Quilt Party in a week or a week and a half. And so I don't know if Myrtle Beach Quilt Party is something you've heard about, but if you want information, give me a holler. In fact, let me give you my email again. And okay, our time to quilt at twc.com. Okay. Yay. Oh, bye, Bonnie. Take good care of yourself. I hope you got my Christmas card. I didn't know if you've gotten it yet. We finally got it in the mail. So it's coming if not. Okay, so I put on there my email address because if you have any questions, you'd like to join our groups IO, which is like a Yahoo group to chat. But now I have something to show you. Then we're going to do show and tell. What I have to show you is a free pattern, downloadable PDF. And this is amazing. And it says, please share this free pattern. It can be copied for personal use, but do not, it may not be sold or used to make products for sale. So look what we're going to be working on very soon, towards the end of the month. Paper piecing, but is that dramatic? And this is called Wings of Love by Renee Merrill. Pardon me, Renee Merrill. So just want to show you something that I found for Valentine's Day. And don't worry, when we get close to it, I'll share the link with you. You can print your own copy. I love when I find things that say, feel free to share. Yay! That's my terms. So, okay. So now I've shown you my scarf process. I've talked about poly. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go see what pictures you have sent in, and a few of my grandsons too. So here we go. All right. Righty. Now let's see. Let me go to the photos. And I thank you for the people who sent great photos this week. And my email is in the chat. So if you have photos you'd like to share with us, please, please do. Let me peek real quick. I have been gathering ideas already for things I'd like to do this winter. So just keep that in mind. And, we love doing activities. Here is our last few pictures from Miss Alberta Powell. And I love this Christmas quilt, these Christmas table runners. And her blocks are amazing. Very nice work, Alberta. So thank you, Alberta. Now I can go ahead and close this. I've already used that one. All right. And Miss Ann, I reached out to Miss Ann this week, and she said she's been so busy, but she hopes to get back to quilting sometime this month. Look at these amazing pictures she sent. She has, look at her nuthatch, her cardinal, her house finch. These are wonderful. Look at all the wonderful drawing and painting that she's done. So, way to go, Miss Ann. Oh, I tell you, she's so talented. Look at this titmouse. Isn't that amazing? Beautiful, beautiful. Very talented. I think she's liking her ink kits. Look at this study of mushrooms. Wow, that is wonderful. And look at this birch bark. Isn't that lovely? So thank you, Miss Ann, for sending these. We love them. I've been worried about our Ann, so I'm glad to hear that she is staying very busy, and that's wonderful. Miss Betty. Miss Betty sent, oh, I love this. Okay, here is, we were talking about Mary May or Mary Mayhem. She looks like Miss Betty did one of her mystery quilts some years ago. I love this one. It was something about baskets, and I think it's wonderful. Then she did the Christmas wreath quilt that we worked on this year. I love it. And then, oh, she made a couple gifts for people. Look at these wonderful landscapes that she made as gifts. Aren't they fabulous? And look at the Christmas tree quilt she made. And I guess it was a pillow, or, oh, that's really neat. I don't know what that's for. And then because she knows I adore the Grinch, she sent me this wonderful Christmas photo of the Grinch. Love it, love it. So thank you so much, Miss Patty. And now let's go see Miss BB. Let me think we don't have any new ones yet from Miss BB, but I know she has been busy. And these are from Bonnie, and Bonnie has been very busy. Let me see if I can get this to enlarge. There we go. Here are some of Miss Bonnie's beautiful works. So we'll keep up with Miss Bonnie because I know, oh, in fact, here are some of her. She has been a busy lady. So I love all of these. She's a great lady. Okay, now Miss Charlene sent me some fantastic pictures The first one, which is so cute, is her great grandson. And is he the cutest little thing? Oh my gosh, he's precious. Beautiful, beautiful little boy. So that's wonderful. And here's her decorated home, because I said, oh, if anybody has pictures of the decorations you'd like to send, yay. And if I'm not mistaken, Miss Charlene Lawson had a flood after the big hurricane a few years ago, and she's had to rebuild. And we're so proud of her. Look at this. Isn't this beautiful? I love it. Look at that. Just absolutely lovely. Okay, now let me see. I think I need to go back this direction, but I love all. Oh, that baby is precious. This is her UFO, and here is her Christmas tree. So thank you so much, Miss Charlene, for sending these. You do an amazing job. A very busy woman, let me tell you. Okay, now who is next? Oh, I guess it would be me. And let me see if I can find my pictures of the boys. Okay. Let's see. Here's the first one. This is my son and his wife and those beautiful boys. Just love them so much. And they were here with us. This is in their own living room. Love it. Look at those boys taking a nap. Isn't that the sweetest thing? They're so close. They're only a year and a half difference in age, and they're just precious. And here they are. Their dad saved up for years of birthday and Christmas presents and managed to get a snare drum that he has wanted forever. And there are the boys playing the snare drum. And here they are in his studio playing the snare drum. That's my son, Christopher. And this is Russell. And this is Donnie. Okay. And they're at church. And Chris was keeping them occupied while they were waiting. So he had them make faces. That's so cute. And here is their living room on Christmas morning. Is that amazing or what? And their other grandma and their other grandpa are right here. So isn't that just lovely? Look at all that. It has been a happy Christmas, that's for sure. And here is, they are with Santa. We had a very fun time. This is a sweater my daughter Becky is making. I wouldn't know where to begin to make something like this. She is something else. That is a gorgeous sweater. Way to go, Becky. All right, so that is that. And now let's go back. We're going to see. Oh, got to show Chloe. There is her puppy. What a sweetie. And it looks like, I guess you would call it a yellow lab. Really pretty. And, oh, that was autumn. Let's get to Christmas. So, so cute. And I love her hallway vignette. And a wonderful star quilt. And a Christmas quilt with pinwheels and magnolia blooms. I guess they're magnolia blooms. They're pretty. Okay. I love this Christmas quilt. Lovely. Okay. Let's see who is next. Let me see. I'm trying to look who has some new photos. Oh, Mary did. Mary had amazing. Oh, first I'll show you her Christmas quilt. I love her Christmas wreath quilt. Beautiful, Miss Mary. And then, let's see. She also worked on, here is her mystery quilt that she worked on, the same Mary Mayhem. And then here it is. Oh my goodness, she already quilted it and bound it. I tell you what, Miss Mary, you stay busy, girlfriend. That's wonderful. And then on the way to town, they saw a gorgeous sunset. Isn't that just beautiful? Miss Mary lives way out in the country. And oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Beautiful. Thank you for taking that photo. And then, oh, I had forgotten this one. She had made peppermint dreams and put her, it's like a peppermint meringue, and she gave us that recipe before Christmas. And there are some of them. That's beautiful. Okay, so that was wonderful. Miss Mary had very good holiday. Let's see. Miss Marcia, she is here. So Marcia Hahn. Um, okay. Yes, these. Oh, gotta show this one. When we're working on our landscape quilts on Thursday night, remember this. She made this as a keepsake of her childhood farm. And I just noticed something. Her binding matches. It's blue here for the sky and green here. That's a nice touch, Miss Marcia. Beautiful work. And I'm sure there are lots of good memories in that quilt. Okay, now let's see where we're going. Whoops, I didn't mean to jump that far ahead. Miss Melanie did send. Okay, let me see what Miss Melanie. Okay, she had done this Christmas table runner, which I love this. It's so much fun to do Christmas trees. They have managed, I'm trying to make it bigger. There we go. They have managed to make some really cute trees with that shape. And then here is a t-shirt that her daughter gave her for Christmas. That is so cute. I love that. That looks like something we all need. In fact, be careful. I'm going to Myrtle Beach Quilt Party and they're going to have vendors there again. Yay. Okay, is there anything else? Yes. Miss Nicole, one of our new members, sent me a picture of her landscape quilt that she made after being inspired by one of our landscape quilt shows. So I am so excited. And she's got ducks. She's got all kinds of things. She even, oh, look at this. I guess it's like a misty kind of look with um, some batting, pulled batting. I mean, it's just wonderful. So I'm so excited that she sent this to us. Now she's from not Alaska, Hawaii. So she might not be able to be live with us very much, but I thought this is wonderful and I'm so glad she has joined us. I love her building. She's got a ladder. She's just jumping out. That the best thing is she's bold enough to just get in there and try. And I love it. It's lovely. Her colors. Look at her thread work, a boat. She's got plenty for your eye to enjoy. Good work. Okay, now let me see. Let's see. Patricia Fry did some Christmas ones. I'm just checking to make sure. I would never want to miss one of you. So please, if I ever do, please let me know. Oh, Vicky. Okay. So let's go to Patricia's and then to Vicky's. And these cute stockings she must have done for her grandchildren. Love these. And look at this wonderful gift table runner. There, I tell you what, Christmas is the best season for quilters, isn't it? That is just beautiful. Love it. All right, so now we're going to go to Miss Vicky's and see what she's got. And let me see. Miss Vicky, there it is. Okay. Oh, wonderful good pictures here. Let's see. We've got the Christmas, the wonderful Christmas wreath quilt. Love it. Okay. And oh, look at this Christmas tree pillow. That's right. We've shown this. She does a beautiful satin stitch with the ornaments hanging here. And I think this is the back of that pillow. I love it when they do the envelope style so that you can take the cover off to pack it away or to wash it. Beautiful. Okay, let me see if what other new ones might be here. I'm trying to remember. I apologize if I get them wrong. I haven't cleared out some of the older ones yet. I'm not sure if I've shown you this one, so we'll take a look at this. I love how you can use a shape like this to make a dramatic quilt. And what this would be is this would be, let's say it's 6-inch block. And you use a square here and a square there. You stitch right down the center of the square, flip the excess back, cut off the extra, and then you have this wonderful shape. So I love that. Way to go. All right, I think that's it for show and tell. And now I just want to show you two things really quickly. How to square up a quilt, how to square it and trim it. And, oh, I'm going to sneeze. Pardon me. How to square and trim a quilt. And then how I like to frame my quilts. So, here we go. Let me move things out of the way here. Whoops. I should have moved all my Alaska thing. All right. And I've decided I'm going to take this up, this wonderful little suction cup tool. I'm going to take it upstairs with me while I do the rest of the cutting, because you would have to wash it off first, then put a little drop of water and then stick it down onto the little template pattern, and that should really help. Okay, now, whoops, I need to grab one quick ruler, and I'll be right back. Okay. Let's see. All right. The rulers that you want. We'll first talk about, let's first talk about how do you square up a quilt. Now, I'm not going to square this because I've already squared it. Well, I guess we could find out. I just did it by eye, so I can't promise that it's done well. And I'm not on a cutting board, unfortunately. But what you want to do is lay your quilt out, and it has to be after you have quilted it, but before you've put the binding on. The best thing to use is the biggest square ruler that you can. And what you do is you pick a corner, whatever corner makes you happy. And you, wow, I did pretty good except for this little bit of fabric. But I did trim it pretty evenly. Because what you do is you pick a corner, you put this ruler down, you trim, you trim. You have a 90-degree angle so that you can make that corner. Now, then what you do is get a long, thin ruler. Whoops, let me show you this. I'll bring it closer. You bring a long, thin ruler, and when you have this lined up and it's your perfect square, you can butt the long, thin ruler up to the side of this, put it near the bottom, and then keep your trimming going. Okay? And you do the same thing up the side. You would have this ruler in your corner, and you put this ruler above it. Whoops, let me get it. Okay, this ruler would be perfectly in the corner. You put this ruler above it, making sure if it's butted, then you know it's straight, and trim up that side. So that's the short version of how to trim. And you go by one corner, because if everything is off that corner, then you know it is square. Okay. And you can also look on YouTube. They do have, oh, while I'm here, I just saw something I forgot to tell you last week. Okay, let me get my hemostats if I can find them fast. Okay, got my hemostats. I happen to notice that I quilted a safety pin into this quilt right here. You can't see it from the front. It's inside, and I missed it, and I quilted on either side of it. So what do you do if you have a safety pin in the quilt? Well, if you didn't care about the back of it, you could make a slit here, take it out, and then whip stitch it closed. But I don't ever like to cut the fabric on the outside of my quilt, because then it can become something that then will ravel or be a weakened point. So what I'm doing is I've opened the safety pin. I'm turning it towards this side because this is the shortest edge to get this out. So I've opened it. I'm carefully sliding it around. And very careful, because you don't want to stick yourself. But you're turning it around, turning it around, turning it around, trying not to get it caught up in the batting. If you had it in between the layers of batting, it will be very difficult to get out. So now I've turned it around pretty good. And you have to turn it around so it lets loose of the fabric. What I'm going to do is gently push it and push it closer to the edge. Okay, and I'm trying to figure out, oh, it's right here. Okay, so I had to figure out what side of the batting is it on. Is it below the batting or on top of the batting? And it feels like it's on top of the batting. So now I'm going to take my hemostat. And the thing I like about hemostats is that they lock. So if I can get this onto that safety pin, do I have it? Once I have it, then I lock the handles, and then I can ease it. Oh, I don't have it. Okay, let me try it again. I just had a little piece of batting. So I'm going to work on let me find it again. Here. I'm going to work on continuing to push it down towards the opening. Oh, I can feel the problem. The problem is it wanted to gather some batting in the little mouth of it. So I'm going to try to push this down. And let me see if I can get it in my sights. Come here. Oh, it is under. I think well, no, I can't quite tell. All right, let me see. I'm going to try again. But you just have to take a little bit of time. Nope, it is on the top of the batting. Okay. It's on the top. So now I'm putting my finger in the top, and I'm trying to clear the batting away from the mouth of it. Aha! There it is. So you can do it the same way, whether it's it's a little harder if it's a safety pin. But if it's a straight pin, just do the same thing and use the head of the pin to try to push it towards the edge. So a safety pin, what the problem I had with the safety pin is batting kept wanting to get caught in this. I was pushing it this way. But if I had tried to push it that way, it would have been worse because the point would have dug into the batting. So we lost just a tiny wee bit of batting. So anyway, there you go. That shows you don't ever be afraid. And if somehow there was no way to get it out to the edge, then you could make a very tiny cut. But you definitely would want to use a fray check or something to hold it together. So there. I had forgotten to show you that last week, so now I did. Now, the other little quick thing was my method of finishing off an art quilt. Here is an art quilt I made, I think, 4 years or so ago, and it's a beach scene. And I like to treat all of my landscape or art quilts as the work of art they really are. So, what I have done, this is just my own little thing, is I take and decide what color would the mat board. You know how when you frame art, there's a mat board that goes around the edge? Well, this was what color do I want? What color will look good up here by the sky as well as down by the sand? And then I take and use my border and pretend it's the frame. Now, some pictures would look good just to finish them off with a black, narrow little border, maybe less the size smaller than this, even. But I like something like this because it sets off my picture. It sets it off, makes it look like the artwork that it is. So, and I've done them every time I do an art quilt, I finish them the same way. If something moved me to do it a different method, I would. But and I knife edge the the binding. Well, actually, I what I do is I sew this on, then I turn under the edge of the back like this, and then I stitch them together. This is called knife edge finish. And that way it looks like a frame with a little beading on the bottom. Now, there is one problem when I'll have to show you my I was looking to see if I could see my wonderful landscape quilt, my the one I love best, which is my waterfall, and I don't see that. But I had a problem with that. I did a lot of collage work and a lot of thread painting on that, just like this one. And it made this heavy, like tapestry. This is nice and heavy. Well, the problem is this is just a little bit plain and it's not as thick as the quilt. See, the quilt is really thick with all of the stitching and the additions, the collage work, all of that, yarn and roping and all of that. And if this is flimsy, then that will count off in an art show. So just remember what I should have done when I want to have something simple. You have to bring a certain amount of quilting out to the edge, but use a thick, like a buckram. Let me show you what a buckram would be. You don't want a flimsy border on a thick and solid quilt. Let me see where I put my buckram. Here it is. Here is buckram. Buckram is a very heavy, almost paper like interfacing, and it's used to give thickness. And if I wanted this border to show better in a quilt show, I would have put 2 or 3 layers of buckram in this. And then looked for picture frame carving in photos somewhere and done that quilting in here. And that way you would have a similar weight for the quilt as for the border. Because I think of this as a frame, but it's really an extension of the quilt. So I'm hoping that makes sense. And if you get a chance to buy some buckram or really heavy, I mean, look at this. This is heavy interfacing. I would grab a couple yards because if you like doing um, art quilting, it will really come in handy when you finish it. You could also use several layers of batting so that it's the same thickness. Like right now, I can feel it goes down here. This is thicker than this. And the quilt judge pointed that out to me. I never would have thought about it. She pointed it out. So I want to make sure that you know that too. So, okay, I think that will help you. Now some people just enter their artwork like this and do this same edge, but with it stopping at the artwork. That is wonderful and fine. You can use regular borders, you can use designs. This is just the way that I've happened to love finishing my quilts. All right. So I'm hoping that that helps you in your quilting journey. And don't be afraid of squaring up your quilt. It's really not that hard. It's easier to me than squaring up a deck that you're building because then you'd have to use the 3, 4, 5 method. That's a whole nother thing. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today's show. I am actually traveling next Sunday. Mark's going to stay here and hold the fort down for me, and I will be traveling to go to the Myrtle Beach quilt party. And I'm so excited. If I get there in time, I will do a show from the room. If I don't get there in time or I'm just too tired, I won't. So I'm sorry to be wishy washy with it, but I'm just not sure how it will go. Maybe by Thursday, I might have a little better idea of how I'm doing on it. But I would love at some point that week, I will definitely do a show with you. There will not be an art quilt Thursday while I'm gone to Myrtle Beach. So you won't see it up on here, and I'll take it off of the calendar so you can just check those things to know. And so I'm coming back on the next Sunday. I'll just wait and see how the trip goes because usually I don't leave the room till 11, and I won't. That means I won't because I stay there to the last moment possible. And so I probably won't be doing the show that next week unless I do a nighttime show. But I'm going to take my camera with me. I'm going to try to take some good footage this year. And I'm going to show you the show and tell and the teacher's show and tell. I'll do a camera walk through the vendors. I'll show you the beach. It's going to be, I don't know, I feel so spoiled to be able to go and do this. When I was busy raising my kids, I never thought I would be able to do these things. So I feel very lucky, very blessed to be able to do this. And I want to share as much of it with you as I can. So I want you to do some great things for yourself this next week. Think of what you can do for self care, something good for you. Um, because you can't take care of other people if you haven't taken care of yourself. So I will see you soon. Um, I'll be thinking of Martin Luther King for his birthday and his holiday. And take good care of yourself. I'll see you Thursday, and then we'll see what happens for the next week. but I will definitely show you all the goodies that the vendors have. I told Mark, I think I need to get some money out of the bank because I think I might need to buy something. So take good care of yourself. Please stay well. I hope you've had your flu shot, your latest COVID. The COVID numbers definitely have jumped up. If you haven't gotten your fall COVID, get it, please. And stay safe, as safe as you can. And I can't wait to see you next time. Thank you, everyone. You are so wonderful. Thank you, Miss Mary. Congrats to Miss Mary. She'll be getting the Mary Mayhem mystery quilt. And I hope to get it out this week, but I'm not promising. So it is so good to see all of you and have a great week ahead. Okay? I'm back upstairs to cut out some more fabric for that Alaska class. It'll be a lot, but fun.